Tony, can we take roll? I think we have a quorum now.
Esparza? I thought I saw her name.
Here.
Thank you. Arenas?
Here.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yes. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Wonderful, thank you.
Dieppe? Perales? And Davis.
Here.
And Perales just signed on.
Great. Ah, there you are. Councilmember Perales is here. All right, we can move on to reports to committee. And our first item is the Integrated Water Infrastructure Program Report. Carrie? Is Carrie here? Or who's taking this one?
I'll take it. Here
Yeah.
on your screen.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Go for it.
One sec here. Okay, there you go. Do you see that? Okay.
Yes.
Well, good afternoon. My name is Jeff Provenzano. I'm a Deputy Director in ESD for the Water Resources Division. Today, we're here to talk about a new program, relatively new program for us, called the Integrated Water Infrastructure Program. Simply put, our goal is to integrate existing water infrastructure to create a cohesive distribution system that will convey three types of water: stormwater, non-potable groundwater, and recycled water, in a way to really utilize our existing infrastructure and assets to increase our non-potable water supply. In the water side, we use the word potable and non-potable a lot. I thought I'd just take a minute to kind of go over what that really means. Most of the water that you're probably familiar with is potable water. That's drinking water. It meets all the state and US EPA water quality standards to be able to drink it, use it inside your house and home. Non-potable water supplies are everywhere, but they're not very common. You probably would recognize recycled water, but there are many other different forms of non-potable water supplies, especially here in San Jose and in Santa Clara County, that are available to be used, but they are not. So this program is really then focused around how can we maximize the use of these non-potable water supplies? And you may be wondering why, what's the importance of that? On the slide here, you'll see a couple different projects, topics, maybe some that you've been involved in over time. We as staff have also been involved in these projects. I won't get into them in detail, really to say that they all have a similar impact on water. And it's that they result in change. All of them change.
There's a presentation about the Integrated Water Infrastructure Program.
Someone is
and there's
unmuted.
like 4 other these long presentations. So I think it's going to be a while before Coyote Valley comes on the agenda.
Excuse me, Noelle, I think you are.
Anyway,
Tony, can you mute her, please?
Okay. So you may recognize some of
Yes.
these. And what these all have in common with water is that they result in change. They result in how water is brought into San Jose. They result in how we use water. They result in change on reliability. They also will require us to change our viewpoints on what is considered good water and what other types of waters can we use going forward. Here in San Jose, we also have existing infrastructure and I kind of mentioned different water supply options. For the non-potable water, because it is a very broad category, non-potable water can be a very broad category, just water that we cannot use for drinking water. We kind of narrowed down it a little bit to really look at 3 different types: non-potable groundwater wells, non-potable groundwater, and groundwater infiltration. And that may sound like they're all the same, but each one of those is available or can be accessed by us using different technology and different setups. So each one is a little bit different in how we take advantage of it. We also have, I kind of mentioned it, some existing infrastructure here. We have 2 existing non-potable distribution systems right now. One is our stormwater system, and the other one is our recycle water distribution system. So putting all these together, we have forms of non-potable water that are not being used right now. And we also have 2 different distribution systems that could be used to convey these waters to the end user. This program in itself, it could be very vast and with unlimited options that could be evaluated. It could be something that we could be working on for decades. There's that much work and focus scope here that we could look at, but in order to keep staff sane, we tried to narrow it down to 3 specific program focuses over a relatively short period of time. So our first program focus is going to be on stormwater treatment. You're probably familiar with our normal form, historical form of stormwater, is that it rains in the wintertime, it collects in big reservoirs, and then we treat it or use it during the summertime. That's not what we're going to look at. We're going to look at something new. We want to look at taking dry weather stormwater. This is water that's flowing in our stormwater system during the summertime, and seeing if we can integrate that as a form of non-potable water supply. We're not trying to treat this to drink it. We want to add it into our existing non-potable infrastructure and get it to our end users, our customers. So we're going to be looking at stormwater treatment. There's a project occurring right now at the same time that it's called the Green Stormwater Infrastructure Plan. You may be familiar with it or heard of it or have been involved in it. So we have been coordinating with Public Works, of course, ESD, and the Department of Transportation on some of the projects that are highlighted in that plan. You'll see the 2 pictures there. Both are from the River Oaks Pump Station. That's one of the leading projects under that plan that's being worked on. This past summer, we were out there doing a pilot of taking dry weather stormwater to see if we could run it through a treatment process and what type of water quality we would get at the end. Adding non-potable water supplies for us is relatively easy. Adding it in a way that our customers still appreciate and like the type of water that they're getting at the end is also a focus. So we want to develop non-potable water supplies, but also have everyone happy when they get it. So this project is a pilot that we finished this summer. It was phase 1. We'll be back out next summer, also trying phase 2 with different technologies of taking dry weather stormwater. And as Public Works progresses with the rest of their project, we're coordinating closely with them in that we could take their end product, which would be essentially filtering stormwater through dirt and soil, and then putting it into the creek. We're looking at them possibly taking that water as a usable water supply and getting it to our customer base. Program focus number 2 for us is non-potable groundwater supplies. I mentioned a few before. Specifically, we want to look at existing non-potable groundwater wells. Every water agency has old groundwater wells that can no longer be used for drinking water purposes. These are existing assets with pumps, electrical hookups, distribution piping they're connected to. And they're there, but they are not being used because they don't meet the standards to go into the drinking water system. So our goal for this focus is to go to these water agencies and to find the feasibility and the technology needed to hook up some of these non-potable groundwater wells and utilize them as a form of non-potable water. Now, the first 2 focuses were on water supply. Obviously, the third one is a little bit different. It is on the distribution side of our systems, specifically on a little bit on the stormwater side, but specifically on our recycle water distribution facilities. This focus will look at different conveyance methodologies, how we can add the water. I kind of mentioned the end user or the customer's perspective on water quality, but we'd look at how we could add the water, how the water can move through the system. The recycle water system is set up with all the policies and procedures in place, and the end user is already set up and trained on the use of non-potable water supplies. So the conveyance, most of the conveyance is there, but there are a few pieces such as ownership of wells, movement of water, a sharing of costs that would have to kind of be looked at in order to tie everything together. The use of non-potable water supplies is not a new thing in the state or in globally. It's not a new thing. But what's kind of new for this program is that normally non-potable water supplies are just located on an individual property, on one site. And we're trying to look at that because that's also a feasible option for some of the businesses here in San Jose too, is to do little sites on individual properties. But what makes this program really different, and for us, it makes it feasible where it hasn't been feasible for others, is that we have a non-potable distribution system, a pretty expansive one, and a customer base set up ready to use this water, and new customers coming online. And so it's not, for us, it's not just developing little one-offs of different non-potable water supplies. It is getting it into a really a regional distribution system and getting it out to those that want to use it. Sorry, one sec here. All right, funding strategy and next steps. So the funding's pretty easy. We will be working with local water retailers and partner agencies on voluntary contributions. The total budget for this is relatively small, about $2 million over a 5-year period. And we selected that budget, but also our program focuses to create something that is achievable, something that we could walk away and have something in our hand after the end of this program. I kind of mentioned before that the scope and the options are really vast in this. And so this was never really set up to be the end. It was really to take the initial steps to lead to something more at the end of the 5-year period, to demonstrate to the retailers how we could set up different infrastructure, how we can integrate it, and how we can move it. Our next steps will be to execute partner agreements with interested partners, to continue to develop and implement pilot projects, and of course to report back and work with our partner agencies on project milestones. So in short, that is our new program, the Integrated Water Infrastructure Program. Staff are available to answer questions if there's any.
Thank you. We'll take comments from the public first. If I don't see any hands raised, but if there are any members of the public who would like to speak. Okay, we've got one. Mr. Beekman.
Hello, thank you for this item. Good luck in your efforts and that you're starting a new program. And I had a simple question at this time. I know you don't like to answer questions so much as a council from the public, but maybe it's something that can be thought about through the meeting and maybe can be answered at open forum time. There is a PISFIS meeting at 9:30 a.m. this Thursday. There is also a Vision Zero study session at 10 a.m. on Thursday. Is the PISFIS meeting only going to be a half hour this Thursday and then turn into the Vision Zero study session meeting? Thank you.
Although that's off topic, I think Councilmember Perales is the co-chair of Vision Zero, so I'm calling on him after the public, so I will let him choose whether or not he wants to answer that question. Actually, there are no other members of the public who would like to speak, so Councilmember Perales, feel free to address that question if you like, or ask your questions to the staff.
Yeah, thank you, Blair. I will ask my questions. I'll go ahead and answer Blair's question, though. We are hoping that PISFIS is short, but it's likely not going to only be 30 minutes. It may overlap slightly with the Vision Zero task force meeting starting, and that was just due to a scheduling that we had to do where we changed PISFIS to a morning meeting for this month and conflicted with Vision Zero. So hopefully it will be pretty short, though, because I will be in both personally. And then my question for staff is in regards to actually water infrastructure, but our stormwater infrastructure. And actually myself, the mayor, and our chair here had put together a memo last year, and we were hoping to get at that point an update in June of this year. Clearly, COVID has delayed that work, and we had asked for. I don't know if staff would be able to refer to it, but we had a memo with a couple different asks. The first one was to be able to develop an inclusive communication strategy in regards to our green stormwater infrastructure and its benefits, and then list off a couple things there. And then the other, to develop a list of near-term projects and approaches for those identified for the green stormwater infrastructure plan. And then both of those we were hoping to get an update in June at this committee. And so I don't know if there's any update that can be provided, at least verbally at the moment, on some of that work that had to be delayed.
So Councilor, I'm just making sure the June report, I think I did mention in a previous committee report that I thought we had put out an information memo, but we in fact didn't. That's what I've as I researched into that, we did not put one out. We have scheduled for the spring work plan. I believe it's April, and I think that proposed work plan is going to be coming to the Rules Committee in January. Would bring forward a green stormwater infrastructure report in April. More specific, maybe you could just say, what were you looking for right now specifically? I don't think I heard that clear enough to know what you're looking for at the moment.
It was any idea from yourselves in regards to where that work may be and the time delay on it. I recognize we're getting a full report on that citywide, but I'm asking specifically because we have the experts, and my guess would be because we have likely some of the individuals that are doing that work or would have been doing that presentation in June. So I'm just curious for a more, sort of a quicker answer from staff that may have an idea.
Yeah, Matt Kano, are you on right now, Matt? I see Matt, but I don't know. Hey, Matt, are you there?
I am here, Jim, but I wasn't listening to this item, so I can.
Yeah, so Councilman Perales is asking, we were scheduled to come in front of the committee in June on the Green Stormwater Infrastructure Plan. And I know that the item obviously got delayed because of COVID, and we didn't put out an information memorandum. And I know you're working with the interdepartmental team on that, just in terms of where we're at. I know our focus right now is to scope the Measure T projects, the first 25 million, and then it is to advance the remaining 75 million of the consent decree settlement, and then more broadly to put together a more specific implementation plan that's focused on the full plan, council member, which is a 30+ year plan. But our kind of the 3 steps, if you will, program the 25 million from Measure T, obtain the remaining 75 million as part of our consent decree, and then also issue a more specific plan around how do we meet the long-term plan between essentially off-street, off-park projects, parks projects, and then street-related projects. That's kind of the general approach that we're working through at a staff level. Matt and or Carrie, would you add anything to that? And how much more?
Jim, I'll reiterate just the 2 recommendations that were in the memo that I'm referring to from last year. And one of them was looking for a list of near-term projects and approaches for those identified in the Green Stormwater Infrastructure Plan. So it sounds like, I'm assuming that would come with part of what you're talking about here. And then the first one was developing a communication strategy. And so that one, I didn't hear at least any thought in your response. I don't know if there's been any further thought or work on that. But that was also supposed to come back in June.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
want to
Go ahead, Matt.
just add, again, Matt Cano, Director of Public Works, just to really add on to what Jim was saying, council member, we are planning, we are working towards coming back. I think it's either April or May. I want to say April, but it could be May to T&E. And there's some steps that we're doing in the interim. We have, as you know, $25 million in Measure T for green stormwater projects. Jeff mentioned the River Oaks project. And there's also a grant that ESD and Public Works collaborated on that we received to supplement River Oaks. And so we're going to actually have a lot of that $25 million left. We're going to be working over the next 2-3 months on a community outreach on what we recommend those next 2 to 3, if they're smaller, maybe 4, but probably 2 to 3 projects are to spend down that 25 million. So we're meeting with some agency partners over the next few months to talk about that process. I talked to Save the Bay a couple weeks ago as an example. And then we'll be going to the community to say, here's the 2 or 3 extra projects we're going to spend down at that 25 million. Then with that information in hand, we'll be coming to this committee and then going to council to get approval, and then hopefully then start spending on those for Measure T projects. There was some community outreach work that was performed, some materials that were developed. We did not, but our outreach is really focused right now on spending that 25 million and securing those projects for Measure T. So if I answered your question.
Oops, I was muted. Yeah, that is helpful, and obviously recognize why we had a delay in that report back. But I think would be if we're not planning on a comprehensive answer to that memorandum I'm referring to, and just for help, it was dated September 6th, and by myself, Chairperson Davis, and then the mayor. Then it would be beneficial. Again, it sounds like you may be giving a report to this committee at that point next year, April, May of next year. But if not, a written response at least would be helpful. As Jim pointed out, I think that wasn't done over the summer. So thank you.
Yeah, so it is on the draft work plan, council member. Would it be sufficient to have that brought back at that time? And I do think it's April.
Yeah, if it's going to be a comprehensive verbal report, that's fine. But if not, then yeah, at least get something.
I mean, at that point in time, there would be a written report accompanying the item in April, along with a presentation like this. So
that is sufficient. Yeah, that's
okay.
perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, and then in regards to obviously the item being presented, appreciate the information from staff, and I'll move approval.
Thank you. Is there a second? I can second that. Did you have anything else?
Sorry, second. Oh, never mind. Sorry about that, Chair.
And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Arenas.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry, I was having a hard time with my mute button there. So my question is about the kinds of businesses that are interested in the non-potable water supply, this different kind of business plan. I'm guessing they're mostly larger businesses that can afford to do these kinds of costs or expenses. Could you talk just a little bit more about that?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you for the question. Yes. Yeah. Usually they're the larger businesses. What we've noticed more, the technology-related businesses, the Microsoft's, Adobe, Google, of course, is looking at doing their own type of recycled water system versus connecting to us. But we are seeing it across the board in these larger type businesses where when they come in, they want to utilize either non-potable water supplies for their cooling towers, or they're experiencing some issues. There is a software company in downtown San Jose that has groundwater infiltration into their basement, and they are just dumping the water into the sewer. And they just, because we're not set up and running to help them that water, it could be used, it's a pretty significant amount, could be used on site to support both either their irrigation or their other business needs. And so there is an interest. So we're seeing it quite frequently. We actually met with a developer about 8 months ago. It was before COVID, about a year ago, that wanted to do like on-site gray water systems. So they are interested in reusing the water themselves, treating it, reusing it themselves. So this program here that we're looking at is more to try to get it into a system, but there is an interest both to figure out from these entities how to manage non-potable groundwater, non-potable water, but also to use it too.
And so it's a matter of us positioning ourselves in order to be helpful to these businesses. There's really no other benefit other than having them just have a maximum use of this non-potable water.
We'd like to try to position ourselves to be helpful, yes.
Got it. Okay. I just was wondering if there was an additional fee or anything of that sort, but it sounds like the benefit alone is good enough, it sounds like.
Do you have?
I think I'm frozen. So, oh no, I'm not frozen. So it sounds like the benefit alone is what we're pursuing, correct?
Yes, that's correct. We're viewing it as a water supply option, just with the variability of how we traditionally received water here into San Jose over the decades, and the future looks like it'll require us to be a little bit more flexible and a little bit more adaptive. So we are really looking at it as a water supply type of program. And yes, some developments will benefit from it, but our primary focus is to add that type of water supply.
Okay, those were my questions. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I have a few questions myself, Jeff, if no other of my colleagues have questions. It doesn't look like anybody else has their hands raised. You said we already have a non-potable water distribution system. Is that the stormwater?
Yes.
What are you talking about, and how is it different from our regular water distribution?
So we have two non-potable distribution systems right now. One is stormwater, which is collecting, stormwater, not drinking water, and it's moving it from one location to another. So it's primarily it's going into the creek right now. The second form, which is more direct to an end user, is our recycle water system, South Bay Water Recycling. If you're familiar with that, that is an asset that was funded by sewer ratepayers about starting 25 years ago, right around $250 million. And is that system itself, which is the primary means of conveyance of non-potable water that we are looking to utilize. It's that system that has the policies and procedures in place, the end users that are using non-potable water, recycle water as a form of non-potable water, recycled water, and they're using that now, and we'd be looking to expand the use of that as we move forward.
And is that South Bay Recycled Water, is that wholly owned and run by the city, or is that a separate entity?
It is, it's managed by the city. It is owned by the Regional Wastewater Facility, which is a joint power authority.
Right. Yes, I sit on TPAC. Thank you. That's helpful. And then you had talked about the utilizing dry weather stormwater. I guess I still don't understand a lot of this water stuff. And so it looks to me in the summer times like the creeks are dry. Where is this water that you're talking about?
Sure. The water can come from different sources, but most of it comes from a high groundwater level, particularly in North San Jose, in areas closer to the bay. The groundwater basin is pretty high, particularly last few years, and the water can seep in through different joints of the pipe and then move down the stormwater pipe to a central location.
Okay. Thank you. And is this presentation also going to be given at TPAC?
At TPAC, we hadn't yet agendized that. As we move forward with some more information on it, it's not necessarily a recycle water initiative because it's not seeking to expand the use of recycled water. Right now, we're viewing it more as a water supply initiative. And if that does lead to how, as that plays out and how it might benefit the recycled water system, because it is additional water supplies moving through its infrastructure, we then go back and be more presentations, I would say, with TPAC.
Okay. I was wondering because it looked like the budget was going to be coming from, when you said partner agencies, I assumed it was part of the RWF. So
So I can interject a little bit on that one. So we're treating this endeavor as a separate effort funded by our partner cities, so Santa Clara, San Jose, and Milpitas, by the water retailers. So we're not seeking wastewater funds.
Oh, okay. Got it. Okay. Thank you. And we already have a motion and a second to accept the report. So either Tony or Yasmin, I think, will take the roll.
Hi, everyone. My name is Yasmin Garcia. I'm one of the new legislative clerks. I'm going to be helping Tony today with the votes.
Thank you, Yasmin.
No problem. So we have first Esparza,
Yes.
Arenas,
Yes.
Dieppe,
Aye.
Morales,
Aye.
and Davis.
Aye.
Thank you.
And that motion carries. So we will move on to item 2, storm sewer and sanitary sewer annual reports. Mike O'Connell, there you are.
Yes, I'm here and I'm a Deputy Director in Public Works. I'm joined by Matthew Nguyen, the Division Manager of Transportation and Hydraulic Services in the Department of Public Works. And are our slides going to come up, or is Matthew will bring up his own?
It would be Matthew sharing his screen. Matthew, do you have that?
Yes, I do. Yeah. While Matthew shares his screen, I'll just warm you up by saying that this is really the work product of 3 different engineering sections in the Department of Public Works: our sanitary sewer group, our storm sewer group, and our hydraulics master planning group, each run by a professional civil engineer. They are visitors on the call today. These reports are very similar year over year, mainly because of the stable funding that we have in both programs and because the needs continue year after year. Matthew's going to take us through the presentation, but I wanted to point out the photo on the left is a vault that was used for some of our large trash capture devices. And the photo on the right is a very large concrete pipe that was tunneled under Highway 101 near Zanker and North 4th Street, the first design build contract that the Public Works has utilized to deliver a linear sanitary sewer project. Next slide, please. So we're going to talk about 2 systems today, 2 separate systems, the storm sewer system and the sanitary sewer system. The sanitary connects all the pipelines and takes advantage of our great topography to use gravity to convey those flows to the water treatment plant in North San Jose. The storm sewer system is typically built at the same time that the subdivisions are developed, and those systems have typically been designed, construction, and dedicated as part of those subdivisions. They tend to convey that water either to the nearest system, or if there isn't an adjacent system, to the creek itself. The great photo at the bottom is our outfall structure in Alviso for the brand new Alviso pump station that was completed in September last year. The photo on the right is our typical open cut pipeline project where once the trench is backfilled and the asphalt is settled, then we go in and repave that. Our goal is to hide all the trenches in the city streets. So with that, one last issue, Councilmember Davis, last year you asked me a question about a tiny little pump station called Hester, and I was a little tongue-tied, but I was telling you it was a low point we moved water to with the portable pump. And yes, it's the low point in that pedestrian undercrossing that crosses the Alameda, and it's a lot cleaner and safer for the crews to use a portable pump when they're cleaning that facility. So I just wanted to let you know we followed up on that. And Matthew, it's your slideshow now. Thank you.
Thank you for closing that loop, Mike.
All right, thank you, Mike. Good afternoon. My name is Matthew Nguyen. I'm a division manager in Public Works. So the storm sewer program is developed based on three key initiatives. The first one is the stormwater quality. So we develop projects and programs to address the trash and debris and reduce the sediment coming out to the creek and river around us. And also, as I know we mentioned a little bit earlier that we are working on the green stormwater infrastructure program. And I will talk about River Oak stormwater capture project in the next slide. The next initiative is the master planning. So this is a program where we collect data and we build a computer model, a hydraulic model to predict all of the shortfall deficiency in our capacity. And also we use that information to develop future capacity improvement projects and also to support the development economy, economic development in the city. So we, as of right now, we identify a few projects in the city. With Chacot is one of the projects that we are working on right now, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. And the third focus on our sewer system program is to continue with the system rehabilitation. So we're looking at outfalls, flap gates, pump stations, LTC structure, and we continue to rebuild them or repair them side by side with DOT doing the operation and maintenance of these structures. So River Oak Stormwater Capture Project. This project is funded by the Measure T, and also with the coordination with ESD, we also apply for a state grant in the amount of $3.2 million. The project total come to about $10 million. So the city is going to have to match the remaining balance. And so in this project, we're going to transform what we have right now is a detention facility where we collect the stormwater throughout the year. We will convert that into a biotreatment facility where we have all of the water come in, filter through a layer of media, and then get to the pump where the water become cleaner, and then we can pump it out to the creek or Guadalupe River in this case. This project is, we just complete the initial planning phase. So the design is gonna be in spring 2021, and construction will take place the year after, and we should have the facility up and running by summer 2023. This is the storm master plan. So as mentioned before, we've been working on this master plan for many years. And so phase one was completed in 2017, where we identify a total of 22 projects, and the cost for those are in the range of $215 million. So in phase two, we are focusing, we continue to expand our model. Phase one, we model the system down to about 30-inch pipe. Now we're gonna expand that, and we will cover smaller pipe, meaning we know more about the condition of our pipe. And so in phase two, we will continue to refine our model, and also we take in the information from the valley water on the riverine, and we will expand our model to match that information. And also we're gonna focus in a few known areas where we know that there's some deficiency, such as in North San Jose and also in the Diardon area. So in North San Jose, we found that the Chacot area is one of the areas where we continue to have issue every year when we have a big storm. So in the past, we have a pump that locate on Chacot area next to Coyote Creek to pump all of that water away. Originally, we were planning to put a new pump station at that location. However, with additional analysis, we found that it's better to reroute all of the flow going west toward Guadalupe River and take advantage of us having a pump station there already. So we don't have to build a new pump station, and we still can take care of all of the drainage issue that we have in this area. So that project, we are currently in the early phase of that preliminary design. So the design is expected to start in spring next year, and construction is going to be in summer 2022 and completion in the winter of 2023. Large trash capture. This is on the capital side. We continue to build new trash capture to capture all of the trash before it come out to the creek. And this was done based on the requirement of the regional stormwater permit. And so far we complete phase 1 through phase 6 with 32 large trash capture already installed in the city. Last year, we also looked back into some previous device that we installed, and we come back and retrofit a few LTC device to support O&M activities. As a note, recently Caltrans just came to ESD and the city of San Jose asking to coordinate and to work with us because they have a need to install some of these. So they are willingly to fund for the construction of these new projects. So we are working with them right now to identify new locations, and in the next year or so, we'll come up with a new plan for phase 7. And with all of that, you know, with the storm is, well, the storm season is here. We will continue to work with Valley Water, and also DOT is putting, you know, maintenance crew out there working on hotspot in the city. We work with our contractor to put in a temporary pump station at the Chacot area. So all of the activities are still being planned for, and we are ready for a storm season if we have a big one hitting us. Okay, and now I'd like to talk about the sanitary sewer program. Very similar to the storm, we have 3 key initiatives. The first one is we focus on capacity master planning, where we can use it to predict the capacity deficiency in our system, and therefore we can decrease the SSO, which stands for sanitary sewer overflow. And also we're using the master plan to support our general plan 2040. And lastly, we use it to address any requirements from the watershed protection and other regulatory agency in the area. Then the second focus on our sanitary sewer program is on the condition assessment. Same thing, under this program, we proactively going out there to evaluate our sewer system. Again, with that, we will decrease the SSO And also we can repair and rehabilitate our sewer system pipelines before it fails. And lastly, it's the system improvement and rehabilitation, where we replace all of the cast iron pipe in the city. We replace very old pipe with a lot of breakage in the pipeline. And also we increase the pipe size that, you know, the hydraulic model is showing that it's having some issue with capacity, then we go in and replace those. So here's a chart showing how the SSO has been reduced over the year. And this is with a lot of work from both DOT and Public Works. We work together on O&M and as well as condition assessment program and all of the sewer repair program. We were able to bring it down from 190 something SSO all the way down to roughly 31 SSO per year for last year. So that's a significant reduction in SSO for the system our size. So in summary, the sanitary sewer program is developed to achieve the 3 goals. You know, we continue to focus on General Plan 2020 and to support the economic development. And also we try to increase our investment into the system to take care of infrastructure backlog. And lastly is to prioritize our capital programs to lower operational costs and to ensure capacity in the system. So with that, our recommendation is for the committee to accept the sewer and storm annual report. And yeah.
And thank you, Matthew. And we are available for if you have any questions or comments. Thank you.
Great.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. I will take any questions from the public or comments from the public. I see no hands raised. Do my colleagues have any questions? I don't see any hands raised there either. I have one question. Matthew, for the cast iron pipes and the pipe sizes, are those mapped throughout the city? Do you know what size pipe exists everywhere in the city?
Yes, we do. We have a very robust GIS program with all of the pipeline in the system in the city, and it's going down to pipe material as well as the size of the pipe. So yes, we do know all of the cast iron pipe in the city, and we have a program to go in and replace all of them little by little, because we have limited funding for each year.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we are planning to replace all of the cast iron pipe and replace with ductile iron pipe.
So similar to the pavement maintenance program, do you have that information available online so people can get a sense of what's coming when? Because that, I'm sure it's as disruptive as street pavement to a neighborhood when you're going to go and do those. Is that information available? We get questions a lot in our office, at least. I'm sure other council members get this when work is being done. People will ask questions. I'm sure you send out a mailer, but that doesn't mean that everybody sees it. And I often get the question as a result, hey, they just paved my street. Now they're digging it up and they're doing something else. And sometimes it's not the city. It's, you know, it could be Valley Water doing something. It could be PG&E doing something, but it would be nice if we had the same resource as the pavement maintenance maps, and they do a 3-year outlook for us, and it's a really nice map, and it's color coded for each year about what what projects are planned. Do you have that available for the sanitary sewer project?
We can create one. We can definitely do one. We'll look into how we can post that.
Councilmember Davis, this is Mike O'Connell again. All of our projects have a project-specific info sheet in the capital budget with a map. We also have a portal on the Public Works website where we load public projects, including some of those utility permits from the non-city contractors.
Yeah.
Also, the storm and sanitary maps that we use daily are in the utility viewer application.
Okay.
On the city's website, and it will tell you the diameter, the slope. From that information, we can actually pull track maps that show when the sidewalks and sewers went in for the tract. So yes, we have a lot of information, and all of that is front loaded to help DOT make their decisions about paving. So we know we're on a 10-year cycle, and we want to get there ahead of DOT every time. And we're really focusing on outreach to the underground utilities as well.
Yeah.
To limit the disruption.
Thank you.
And that's coordinated, Councilor Davis, that's coordinated out of DOT. So as they put the 3-year plan together, and then we know what's kind of coming behind it, if you will, they do major coordination, starting with Public Works, the different sewer programs, the private utilities, et cetera. We're obviously paving more streets and covering more than we are repairing sewers. It's just that schedule is ahead of it. But as Mike pointed out, if we see from our inspection data, our service call data, that there are challenges or repairs needed in locations where DOT is going to get to, that's highly coordinated. The repairs that you see shortly after a pavement project are either an emergency, or primarily an emergency, or a utility company that really wasn't as effective as they could have been in communicating to us what their needs were. I think we have pretty tight coordination with the city, and outside the city, it's getting better and better every year.
Thank you. That's really helpful. And I know sometimes the extensive work that the sanitary sewer takes, and then they'll pave over it, and they know you're coming. And so I'll hear, well, they just paved it, now they're paving it again. And then it will be that we've had that scenario come up too, where it was the pipe got replaced and they had to do a big patch job, and then you guys went in and did the final.
Yes, that's very common for a better finish, is to allow that paving contractor to backfill his trench with permanent asphalt on a daily basis. And then at the end of the job, with one mobilization, we grind the entire area and repave it with a machine-placed paver, which limits the reflection of any of those trench cracks up and out of that trench.
Thank you. And it doesn't look like any of my other colleagues raised their hands, so we will take roll for this item. Yasmin?
Okay, first we have Esparza.
Yes.
Cardenas.
Yes.
Diep.
Aye.
Perales.
Aye.
And Davis.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we can move on to item 3, the Regional Transportation Activities Quarterly Report. John Risto, this is you and your team.
Thank you, Council Member. Yes, John Risto, Director of Transportation. We've actually got 2 items here for you today for the committee. One is a regional projects update. Second one is an update on our access mobility plan.
Before you do that, can I
Yes.
cut in, because there was a regional transportation measure, and we haven't officially talked about that at any committee meeting yet. So the regional transportation measure RR passed.
Sure.
And I hope I'm not stepping on anybody, but I don't think you guys were going to mention it.
Well, you can steal the thunder. We'll reiterate it.
Yeah, we were, but glad, since you're a Caltrain board member, it's very good to have you mention it first. So thank you.
Thank you. I was very excited that it passed. I'd been on the the Caltrain board for 4 years, and I know Councilmember Perales was on the Caltrain board before me for 2 years, and I'm sure he is just as happy as I am that Caltrain now has a regional sales tax dedicated funding source. So I will let you
Great.
take
We
it
are-
away, but I had to
Yep.
get that in.
Well, great. I'm glad you actually brought it up because it is important to all of these kind of projects that we're doing is ensuring that we've got funding for them from a number. So with me today as we go through these presentations are Jessica Zanka, Deputy Director for DOT, and Zaire Golzada. And then on the second item, Ramses Madhu, both of them division managers in DOT. I wanted to just give a little bit of context of what we're doing with both of the items. They do fit together pretty well. Regional project updates are really projects that are, one would think, why is the city of San Jose involved in them? And they're really projects that are either sponsored by in another agency's right of way. So there's a couple reasons why we would want to be involved in them. First one is that since they are, even though they may be sponsored by another agency or somewhat in their right of way, they're all San Jose and important to the city. So we want to be involved in how those projects get designed to be the best they can be for the city, our businesses and residents. And that goes for both the transit projects that we work on as well as highway projects. Another really big reason is when we get a chance to actually be the lead agency or to advance these projects, particularly on the highway side, from early stages of design, conceptual design and environmental, that allows us to actually put our imprint on that project, that allows us to really design that in a way that is beneficial to residents. And then really importantly is actually we can advance those projects using city funds, whether they be from traffic impact funds or others. Whereas if it was left up to potentially the other agency, in this case, maybe Caltrans, those projects may languish for quite a while. So it allows us to actually advance those projects, prepare them to compete for federal, state, and regional funding, which is really important. And it's some of the reasons that you had just mentioned, trying to get some of that regional funding from sales tax measures out there. For highway projects, they are in Caltrans right of way. And we do get a lot of questions about why we might be involved in a highway project, but these are typically, if you see all the ones that we're either going to report on today or other ones that we have brought to council before, they're really all economic development supporting access projects. In other words, redoing an interchange or an overcrossing to really provide better access into an area for development support. And then most importantly, what we actually are able to do with these projects is actually design them in a way that it really fits with the way we want to see these projects. In other words, a very, very high design degree for multimodal safe passage by both pedestrians and bicyclists, as well as where it makes sense, also vehicles. A little bit of that today, and it actually goes all the way through all our list of projects that Zaire is going to go through, including overcrossing and many of these other ones. We've actually been able to leverage these highway funds that may be coming from Measure B or state or federal funds to actually really do a great job of actually providing real safe passageways for pedestrian and bicyclists. And Zaire is going to show you a couple of pictures of what we're already in construction and planning on a number of these projects. The second piece, the access and mobility plan, is actually really important because the regional projects are those that we're working on today. And what Rams is going to talk about is really our strategic plan of how we actually rethink and prepare ourselves for new mobility, how we're going to approach this, how we will need to prioritize, and then prepare the city, maybe different organizationally, just to deal with these new challenges that come up. So that was a little bit of background, and then we're going to hit on all these things. And I think we're ready. Zaire, are you first one? Yeah, okay. We're going to jump, if there's any questions on anything first, or we will jump right into the regional activities.
Jump.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you.
So just, John, I think you provided really good input in terms of what we're going to be talking about, and my presentation really kind of goes along with that. So good afternoon, committee members and members of the public. My name is Zahir Guzada, Division Manager at DOT, managing the project delivery program. Today, I'm going to provide an overview of the regional and highway program and summarize the benefits of these projects on our transportation system. And then I'll hand it over to my colleague, Jessica Zhang, the Director of Planning and Project Delivery, who will cover the regional rail and transit programs. So without further ado, I'll get into the regional highway program. But first, before I present, I'd like to turn off my video. For some reason, my Wi-Fi has not been cooperating today. So I'll go ahead and turn that off if it's okay with everybody. Please let me know if you can hear me or you can't, so I can.
Sounds good.
That.
We can hear you. Thank you.
So previously, the focus of the highway regional program presentation has been to summarize key points of the T&E report, which provides detailed updates on individual projects and programs. I hope you had or will have a chance to read the full report. Today, I'll provide some of those key updates, but given the major size in terms of scope, funding, and the resources needed to complete these regional highway projects, I'll really focus on the important benefits that these projects provide and how our design focus has changed to prioritize safety, promote alternative modes of transportation through our designs, since some of these projects have been envisioned in various planning documents for over 30 plus years and have been used to support planning and development projects in the surrounding project areas. With the funding picture now clear with the passage of 2016 Measure B, since then, DOT has been using various local development policy and development contribution funding to aggressively embark on developing and designing all our priority highway projects, and has advanced the first Measure B funded project, the Blossom Hill project, into construction. Let me change the slide here. Thank you. As we've been developing and designing the highway projects, we are not just looking to build the projects as they were planned years ago, but rather we have focused our attention to scope and designed the projects to better align with the city's current climate and multimodal mobility policies and goals. As an example, given that the nature of the regional highway projects in terms of its size and scope provides a great opportunity to modernize our major infrastructure by using the city's complete street design standards and guidelines to provide safe, direct connection between communities that have been divided by freeways, and the interchanges have become mobility barriers for our most vulnerable users and our pedestrians and cyclists alike. A good example of these types of improvements being designed and constructed are included in the Blossom Hill Road Interchange Project in South San Jose, currently under construction, and the Trimble Road De La Cruz Boulevard Interchange Project in South San Jose, in North San Jose, excuse me, currently completing design. The US Mayberry 101 project is a good example of looking at alternatives nearby in this case, including Berryessa, with modification to Oakland Road Interchange as an alternative location to Mayberry Interchange. This alternative may provide better and broader and safety benefits for a variety of users and may be better aligned with the mobility demands for the area given the proximity to Berryessa BART station and the development that has occurred and planned for the area. The US 101 Zanker overcrossing and the Chilcot overcrossing projects are both good examples of how two communities that are otherwise divided by freeways can have direct, safe, efficient connections for all users. The 280 Winchester project is a good example of addressing the well-established and recognized congestion in Santana Row, Stevens Creek, and Winchester area. It will also provide a new replacement of the old pedestrian overcrossing with a new pedestrian bike overcrossing with modern open air, and welcoming design elements that better align with the bike lane network in the area. The Blossom Hill Interchange Improvement Project is a good example of how we focus the major scope of the project to construct a separated Class 1 pedestrian bike path, eliminating at-grade crossing at the on and off ramp, depicted here in the green. The multi-use path will connect the Coyote Creek Trail with Xander's Crossing on the west side, which connects the Edenville community area. Some key design features include both separated overcrossings and undercrossing with oak leaves design decorations on the side walls and fencing with trapezoidal openings for the undercrossings, letting in more natural light. There has been some questions recently raised about the current design location of the pedestrian overcrossing being along Blossom Hill Road and not being along Ford Road. The reason Blossom Hill alternative in green was selected because it is a direct connection to Xander's Crossing and Coyote Creek Trail, consistent with the Edenville area development policy, and is visible and accessible from Blossom Hill Road. And it is also supported by the broader community through our extensive outreach during the project development process. The reason Ford Road alternative depicted here by the red arrow was not selected was because of the substantial cost increase to additional improvements on Ford Road and the required bike path accommodations that would still need to be made on Blossom Hill Road to maintain safety at the intersections. And it is inconsistent with the Edenville area development policy. And the right-of-way needed for Ford Road alignment would mean significant impacts to property owners along Ford Road, especially those single family homes along that corridor. The Trimble project is another good example of using out-of-the-box ideas for the bike path elements in the design of the project. The top two pictures show a view of the completely separated Class 1 multimodal path that eliminates most at-grade crossings. The undercrossings are designed with diagonal openings, allowing significant amount of natural light. We are also using San Jose's complete street standards and guidelines in our design as depicted in the picture on the bottom right, showing the protected bike lanes crossing at the intersection. In addition, I'm pleased to announce that the Trimble project has just been awarded $25 million in SB1 grant funding for construction. This is great news since we are nearing completion of final design, and together with the Measure B funding, we can move the project into construction with anticipated completion in 2025. The Blossom Hill project and this project are both good examples of taking these funding opportunities that we have today to also renew and modernize our aging infrastructure, which would otherwise be very costly and most likely will not get the funding needed to get done. The US 101 Mayberry project is a good example of how we are looking at different projects alternatives in terms of scope location to better align with the Berryessa BART and the city's mobility and climate priorities and current and future development plans in the area. In the case of Mayberry project, we are looking at Berryessa location with modification to Oakland Road interchange as an alternative to Mayberry location for the project. This will be studied in the project development phase. The project has been recently awarded to HNTB consultant to develop the project through the environmental document phase, with final design expected to start in late 2024. The Chilcot Avenue extension over I-8080 and Zanker Road over US 101 overcrossing projects are both good examples of, when completed, will provide a safe, direct multimodal connection between communities otherwise divided by major freeways, with limited safe access for the pedestrians and cyclists alike. In the case of Zanker Road, we are going one step further and redesigning the existing inefficient on and off ramps at US 101 to improve the overall operation of the area. If successful, the added benefit will create a win-win opportunity for right-of-way swap between Caltrans and the adjacent developer who owns and has reserved the right-of-way needed for the new on and off ramp at Bering Drive. The right-of-way vacated from the old on and off ramps, which Caltrans currently owns, could be swapped for the developer-owned right-of-way that will be used for the new on and off ramps. This will create a significant potential savings for the project. Some initial discussion with Caltrans has already taken place, and Caltrans has shown openness to this idea. And finally, the 280 Winchester off-ramp project, currently in the environmental phase, is really good example of representing all these elements that I have described today. It has a separated multimodal connection over 280, and working with our partners at PRNS, the project teams hopes to explore design ideas that integrate the overcrossing with the adjacent Santana Park, creating an inviting place for all users, connecting the two communities currently separated by the Interstate 280. Over the last few years, I've had a privilege to help advance these projects, and over time, I have recognized the significant needs for the projects in our city in order for us to help advance our mobility, climate priorities, and renew our infrastructure. And we are doing this by providing safe, direct connection, by providing a safe, direct connection between communities divided by freeways, connecting trails in major bikeway and pedestrian corridors to provide better network interconnectivity. And finally, these projects modernize our aging infrastructure. And with that, I will turn it over to Jessica Zhang to provide an update for the Regional Trail Program. Thank you.
Thank you, Zahir, and good afternoon. Jessica Zink, Deputy Director for Planning and Project Delivery in DOT. Can go ahead to the next slide, Zahir. As everybody is well aware, there are a lot of regional rail as well as regional transit projects underway that come together in San Jose, many of them at Diridon Station, but also at other key locations throughout the city. I'm going to start with maybe today should be named Funding Day, perhaps, with the exciting news on Trimble 101, as well as some other projects coming up. So Zahir, go ahead to the next slide. This fall, since this committee last received a regional quarterly activity report, the Metropolitan Transportation Commission and ABAG, the Association of Bay Area Governments, have finalized a blueprint for Plan Bay Area 2050. Plan Bay Area is the region's land use and transportation plan. That's an integrated plan as called for per the Sustainable Community Strategies at the state level. Within this final blueprint for Plan Bay Area, we wanted to make you aware of a number of transit investments that are called out, many of them new, to reflect the growing population anticipated, both people living and working within Santa Clara County. In recognition of the high amount of growth, upwards of 40% of the Bay Area's growth is anticipated to occur within our county, the Metropolitan Transportation Commission staff worked to really ask the question of what transportation investments are needed to make sure that our future is sustainable within this Plan Bay Area framework. So we worked together in significant ways to make sure that this list reflected our priorities, and wanted to call your attention to the increase in funding, significant increases for Caltrain and high-speed rail. There are a number of investments within Plan Bay Area for both of these systems that are complementary. And there's also, for the first time, a real placeholder. You'll see this electrification and modernization line item for Tanian to Pacheco Pass. Those of you who have served on Caltrain or currently serve on Caltrain know that that is south of the current Caltrain line, and that investment is really a placeholder from the region to say to the state and to perhaps the federal government, you know, we as a region support bringing high-speed rail and modernizing Caltrain together in this corridor with our own funds. There's also significant funding planned for Diridon Station, for the airport connector between Diridon and the Mineta San Jose International Airport, for robust transit along Stevens Creek corridor, for light rail modernization, and that's both in North San Jose as well as in downtown, for Capital Corridor and ACE projects. So there's really a slate of new investments. Now, I should also make sure to clarify that Plan Bay Area is what's called a fiscally constrained plan, but it is not money that's in the bank. So what the staff at the Metropolitan Transportation Commission do is they project out over the life of this plan how much funding we expect to receive as a region, and then they program that funding to the different needs that are prioritized within the counties and by the region as a whole. So it's important to note that this is a really great step for our priorities to have all of these listed in Plan Bay Area, but there's not like a bank account that we could go to start charging against these projects. We do need to move forward with state and federal grant pursuits, with perhaps additional regional measures, with different policy choices that will actually turn this into quote unquote real money. All right, next slide. All right, and here's the reiteration. It's definitely worth saying at least 2 times that for the first time in its history, Caltrain now has a dedicated source of funding. Caltrain has been operating based off of contributions from the 3 counties, Santa Clara County, San Mateo County, and San Francisco County, in which it operates, and fares and parking revenues and things like that. So it has never had public funding directly going to Caltrain as an entity, and that changed with the with Measure R passing. So it's projected to raise more than $100 million per year. It's incredibly important in the near term, given the difficulties that Caltrain has had in operating along with other transit operators during COVID, but it will also allow the agency to move forward into the future. Next slide. There's many other projects moving forward in the region, including, of course, the BART to Eastridge connector, which is slated to begin construction work this coming year, with the Diridon integrated station concept, which you have all heard much about in the various seats that you occupy. To pause on high-speed rail and the BART extension, because they're currently moving forward. High-speed rail, you'll recall that the draft environmental document was out late spring, early summer for high-speed rail. City commented fairly extensively on that with our the work going on 21 miles through the city of San Jose. High-speed rail is looking to talk about their updated business plan this Thursday at the Board of Directors meeting, and they are expected, or required, I should say, to adopt a business plan this month. Now, we may hear on Thursday that business plan may be delayed for good reason, which is to allow for greater discussions with the transition team and then the new federal administration, but keep your eyes peeled for that. And then last but not least on this list, the BART extension. Many of you heard an update at the VTA meeting last week, but the project is moving forward. The city did sign an overarching kind of umbrella master cooperative agreement this fall, which is part of feeding into the VTA's expedited project delivery application for federal funding. We understand from the VTA team that they are getting ready with their partners at the FTA to submit for that expedited project delivery application, hopefully within this week. So good news all around. And that is all for us today. You can go forward to here. If you have any questions, we are here for them.
Thank you. We'll take the members of the public first. Claire Beekman.
All right, this kind of crept up on me. Let me find my speech here. Thank you. To speak to the many subjects of this memo, I hope we can be open to the inventive road ideas for the Charco Avenue area that can respect kids, teachers, and parents who will be attending the school with minimal additional car traffic in the future. With much new 4G and 5G being placed in local neighborhoods across San Jose and the Bay Area at this time, an important reminder in learning to trust how open public policies with surveillance and technology can help give voice and more fully better organized neighborhood safety accountability and long-term community harmony and sustainability ideas and goals with neighborhood safety and Vision Zero goals and ideas. To ask a simple question, will electric buses and its charging need to take some sort of budget precedence in the next several years and before experimental AV ideas for the future of the light rail program? And to simply report for thought and reflection about the CHSR, the city of Fremont is in its own arguments if to build a second train station for the future of the Capitol Corridor from Sacramento to San Jose. To conclude, I have felt Spartan Stadium or Avaya Stadium have always been considered as places to build a new Sharks Arena in the local community daydreaming about converting the SAP Center into a BART station center for the future of the Diridon Station Google Village area. Meanwhile, the future of the downtown San Jose Diridon area without as many cars or parking lots has always been very seriously considered by local government in the SOG public meeting process pre-COVID-19. To simply offer simple logic and perspective about funding issues at this time, there can be a simple logic that large BART Phase 2 funding and investing can be put off a few years and can possibly be made up very quickly, and that some roads can simply wait a few more years for its maintenance needs with Measure B funding. And also there can be good examples of how the continued CARES and HEROES Act funding can actually well support transit service needs. Caltrain is taking an $18 million loss this year, yet it can take the time and effort to not raise fares and study ideas of future equity and ridership instead. I think these plans were finalized before Measure RR was placed onto the fall ballot. To conclude, I hope at its worst, this current pandemic may only be for a few more years. I hope there can be good perspectives for VTA funding questions at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Robin Romer.
Good afternoon and thank you. I want to briefly expand on staff's update for the shortcut extension. It was great to read in the memo that the final design for shortcut is not expected to start till the end of next year and that construction won't start till 2023. That should give us enough time to address the outstanding environmental issues and find ways to improve shortcut so that the project reflects the needs and the wishes of the community involved. I also hope we'll be able to bring the project in line with the city's own goals for climate smart and Vision Zero. And if the committee may allow me one more comment, this one slightly tongue-in-cheek. According to the staff memo, staff is now proposing to connect shortcut to Silkwood Drive instead of Silkwood Lane. I looked up Silkwood Drive on Google Maps and that is actually a street in Modesto. So although building something to connect North San Jose to Modesto might be slightly overly ambitious, I do love that staff is thinking outside and is willing to think outside of the box. And I hope that that is the spirit that staff will bring to the table when we sit together on January 14th. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Robin. Noted, I'm sure, by DOT staff. Do my colleagues have any questions? Councilmember Perales.
Thank you, Chair. Well, first off, thank you for the presentation. Very thorough, and it's nice to see the totality of the work I am sort of deeply involved with a number of these projects, and so have a good understanding. I was just curious, Jessica, you mentioned it briefly, but there will be a discussion now at VTA, obviously within the staffs, as you point out, around the cities and the county here, on the allocation of some of those dollars over the short term, and what significant impacts will we be looking at for the projects that you kind of laid out here? Anything that we should be acutely aware of as that discussion is going to go underway, and then clearly BTA board will be taking a decision on that early next year.
Great. And just to clarify, Councilmember Perales, are you referring specifically to the discussions of how Measure B is allocated over the near term?
Yeah, specifically the Measure B dollars. Yeah.
Okay, great. And I know that both John and Zahir have been very involved in this, so feel free to jump in, but I can just start with an overview, which is that as others may or may not be following, VTA staff is looking at the best way to allocate Measure B dollars over the coming 10 years. And they're weighing different costs and benefits of upfronting some of the money potentially to the BART Phase 2 project. And then they're looking with that in mind at what the impact to the other programs contained within Measure B would be. So City of San Jose has been participating in an ad hoc committee that was set up to really dive into the technical details of these proposals and understand both the costs and the opportunity costs of the different proposals. Kind of the simplest perhaps to understand would be on the pavement maintenance side. One of the scenarios that has been raised by VTA staff to be investigated would be to essentially freeze most of the pots of Measure B dollars other than BART and the bike ped pot. If that were the case, we would have a significant hit to our local streets and roads program that would cost us more down the road. So I think that VTA staff is open to a lot of different suggestions. So is the City of San Jose staff, and so we're working to come up with public policy solutions that really balance the needs of the whole county, including those of San Jose.
Okay, thank you. And obviously I'll be following that closely and then be engaged in that as it comes to VTA. And I don't have any other comments or questions. Again, just thanks for the thorough presentation. And I'll make a motion to accept the report.
Second.
Thank you. Do any of my other colleagues have questions or comments for staff? Seeing none, I just want to follow on to that and say that I too have questions about the Measure B reallocation and its impact as proposed. And I don't know if this is for Zahir or Jess, but the projects that you presented, Zahir, what would be the impact on timeline if Measure B got reallocated? Because a lot of these are happening, well, they're all happening in the 2020s.
Correct. So
completed. So I assume there's Measure B going along with I don't know each of these, but I do know that the Winchester 281 because we've been talking about it in my office. But the other ones, are they all Measure B funded?
So let me answer your question kind of fully. So the projects that are Measure B funded right now, the ones so Blossom Hill is Measure B funded. It's in construction, so that will get its funding. The ones that have not been moved into construction, because most of the Measure B funding that we are using is for the construction phase. So we're developing the projects with our local funding. Our TIF, whatever the policy, various policies that we are using the money from. And once we develop that project and the final design is completed, so a good example is Trimble. So if the money goes away and we complete the Trimble project and that sits on a shelf, that design, when we go back to build that project in a couple of years, we would have to take substantial step back in that design because things change in terms of design guidelines, the priorities change. So another good example is the Mayberry project. You know, as it has sat there, you know, it has changed in both the design and now we're looking at different locations. So it's, you know, if we don't have the Measure B funding, then we will have significant delays to those projects that are not in construction.
And that even includes the Trimble project, which is in final design right now.
Yes, that will include the Trimble project that is currently in final design and is about to get done.
Okay. I know I've said this privately. I don't know that I've said it publicly. I'm extremely concerned about the proposed reallocation, the dramatic reallocation, I should say, of Measure B funds, because we made a promise to our residents to repave all of our city streets by the end of 2028 or by 2029, and we went out with Measure T as part of that promise, and it was passed, and we were able to, you know, even in our first estimations, to say we're going to be able to do this, combining Measure B dollars with Measure T dollars. And I'm really concerned. I think it should be a top priority for the VTA to help us keep that promise. So I'm very concerned about the proposed reallocation. We've done all this work over the time that those dollars were locked up, as they were going through the court battle over those dollars, and then they get released, and just it seems like, you know, just a second after they got released, they're proposed to get taken away, and it really seems like a bait and switch. And I know that a lot of residents feel that way too. The Mercury News posted an opinion piece or an editorial about it. I just find that very concerning.
Councilmember Davis, if I could just add in there, I know that when we were working through the initial proposed allocation, when the measure was coming towards a decision to go on the ballot or not, our city weighed in terms of what we thought the priorities for allocation were, and that went on to the VTA, and that was considered in that process. And, you know, obviously it's weighing a lot of very important projects, and I think you've described the history really well that got us to today, but it seems like our city should kind of weigh in on the right balancing out of that. And there are some critical projects that, you know, should continue, and maybe there are others that some deferral would have less impact. But I think you've identified a few areas where deferral has a lot of implications, from immediate work that we have planned to a lot of resident understanding on. And, you know, I think the staff will want to keep the council very up to date on what's going on.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Councilmember Diep.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I just wanted to, on the topic of the Measure B dollars, I know the Mercury News had a story, and there's been a lot of consternation from elected officials in other cities and whatnot directed at VTA staff, and even at the city of San Jose, kind of saying that we get the lion's share of the funding because of BART Phase 1 and 2. And it just in VTA's defense, or VTA staff defense, you know, the funding came in, I think it was 2016, but then there was the lawsuit. So we've really only been through one, I think, iteration of allotting funding, and the VTA board will decide jointly as, you know, a county-wide body about what is funded specifically in the following year, 2021. So Councilmember Perales will be a part of that, and others from our city, Vice Mayor Jones, Mayor Liccardo, and others, I'm sure. But I just want to address the point that I think you called it a bait and switch, or some people in the community feel that such. And I just want to assure people that VTA staff, like the City of San Jose staff, does not make any policy decisions. It's always on the council here in San Jose, or on the board, at the VTA board at VTA, that will make those decisions. And in the case of people being upset that a lot of the Measure B money is going towards BART in the city of San Jose. That has been a countywide priority of ours for many years, over a decade. And I was just here to cut the ribbon as BART opened in Berryessa. So to whoever's listening, whoever cares about that, please know that there's transparency in the process, and people are hard at work doing it, and nobody is baiting and switching anybody or hiding 3-card Monty or anything like that. So I just wanted to add that. So thank you.
Thank you for the clarification, Councilmember Depp. And yes, thankfully it is a proposal. It is not a done deal, and the board does have to vote on that proposal, and will do so, I believe, when they vote on their next biennial budget. Is that correct? Just
Yeah, so they've sent, the work has not gone through the committee process yet, because as kind of initially discussed at the TAC level, the TAC really thought that this warranted much more discussion before an official recommendation went forward through the committee process. So Zahir is our representative on that ad hoc process. They've been meeting more than twice a month for the last couple of months, and will continue to do so that there's a solid, balanced recommendation that comes forward. That is our complete intent.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
And before we move on to the next item, I do want to ask any of my colleagues if they have, we sit on many different boards and transportation related boards. So if any of my colleagues on the committee have a report that they would like to give right now, just a verbal report on any of the committees that they sit on, please do feel free to raise your hand. I know I forgot to send the email reminder on Friday, as I normally do when we have this item. So if you are not prepared, that's totally okay. Someone did mention, in case you want to gather your thoughts, I'll talk a little bit about Caltrain. I am the chair of the Finance Committee on Caltrain, and we just recently passed, as many of you know, Caltrain has been undergoing some governance changes over the last few years, and we have just passed a balanced budget policy, so a requirement that the staff brings us a balanced budget, which means sometimes, as in this year, that we have not been passing a full year budget. So we passed the first quarter budget, we passed the second quarter budget, and now we just passed the final half of the year, and we were able to get a balanced budget out of that. Thankfully, Measure RR passed, or that would have been a much more difficult process. And as we move into 2021, we will be talking even more about governance, because one of the requirements for putting Measure RR on the ballot was a robust governance discussion, and there are timelines that are associated with that, that all of the boards that voted to put Measure RR on the ballot voted for. So that work is already begun, but will continue in earnest in January as well. So I see nobody putting their hands up, so I guess that will be the extent. Councilmember Pauls, do you have a report?
I don't, unfortunately, and I apologize. I know you'd made that mention previously, and but a reminder would be helpful.
Yeah, I just forgot on Friday. I should have.
No worries. Yeah, the slight bit of news. I'll be the incoming vice chair for the Capital Corridor, and there will be hopefully some more funding coming through, as there is planned for the connection between Oakland and San Jose, which requires some double tracking. A bit of significant work, but it's been some time since there has been a focus from Capital Corridor on the investment into the South Bay. Could be truly a helpful connection from what we have today as it goes all the way up through Sacramento. So I will try to have some more next year in regards to just a verbal update on that as we get to this report again. Thanks.
Sounds good. Thank you. All right, we are ready for the vote. Can I get a roll, please?
Esparza?
Yes.
Arenas?
I think she had to drop off.
Okay. Dieppe,
Aye.
Perales,
Aye.
and Davis.
Aye.
Thank you.
And that motion carries. We will move on to the Access and Mobility Plan report. I'm guessing that's Ramses.
That's me. Yep. Thank you. Let me share my screen here. And this one. All right. So this is a quick update. We're trying to do this every 6 months or so for this plan. You guys know a lot about it already, so I won't belabor kind of how we got here too much, but I will get into the context a little bit. And come on, there we go. So a little bit of context, get into some of the best practices and kind of talk a little bit about some of the other cities that we're starting to look at, kind of talk about what kind of cohort we're part of in the country and the world, honestly, that are trying to solve these problems. As John Risdo's kickoff to our kind of transportation element here at the report for today kind of talked about is we're facing new problems, we're facing new ways of approaching transportation and planning those out as honestly an evolving practice, and we're trying to take a pretty strong leadership role in how to do that. And then we'll talk a little bit about some project updates. So as you guys know, the transportation plan, access mobility plan, is driven by the visionary Envision San Jose 2040, as well as the Climate Smart San Jose. Both of these have put out very strong recommendations and honestly very strong direction for transportation to change what it has been in San Jose to something new, putting a lot of the burden, or I guess the right way to say this is a lot of the burden of addressing particularly our climate change pieces falls on transportation, right? We have roughly 63 or 64% of all emissions in San Jose is on transportation. So we just have a great deal of work to do here. So, kind of building out the case here, if we don't do anything, if we don't change our course and the projected growth that we'll see in the city happens, we expect to see a doubling of roadway miles, right? Driving would double. Right, and this would just make, well, right now it's great out there. You can get around anywhere you want real fast. But as soon as we get out of this strange dark winter, we're going to get back to highways clogged to the point of people throwing bananas at each other, and just the need to, really solve those problems. And if we don't do something to change how transportation works in San Jose and honestly the region, we are going to be stuck. And so we really need to do this. And what's important there is that doesn't only affect people in cars, right? Our buses and even our light rail interact with the auto system. And if the auto system is clogged and moving slowly, everything else moves slowly too. So what are our goals here? Kind of reminding us kind of the scope and scale here, right? Is right now we're here on this kind of left side loop here. We have the dark colored there, darker gray blue is drive alone, and the light blue is other modes. Roughly, we're at 24% today of folks commuting by non-auto mode. The general plan puts us at 60% by 2040, and Climate Smart stretches that all the way to 88% by 2050. So again, you can see there's just a massive change that we're going to have to implement over the next 10, 20 years to get anywhere near this. All right, so that's kind of given the context again. Now, I'm going to talk about a few pieces of the work we're digging into in the plan. One of them is really benchmarking and learning from the other cities that are trying to do similar things. And what's so interesting about this line of work is seeing how many other cities are trying to hit very similar goals. Look at these goals here, right? Austin, fifth is trying to get down to 50%. Today about 29, pretty similar to our goals. And they're actually the 11th largest city in America, probably going to pass us when the next census gets put out, unless we can get a lot more people in San Jose suddenly. Minneapolis, they're going for 60%, roughly, or actually the same as our goals. And they've just put in a transportation plan actually last year. You have Denver, Seattle, other major cities in America, all trying to do very similar things as we are. So it's really great. We have a lot of other cities to learn from. We're part of this cohort of major cities trying to figure out how to solve this problem. You look across the world, we've highlighted London here. They are going all the way to 80%. And of course, they've built, they have a few generations of kind of going in this direction already to build upon, but they're also a place for us to learn a lot from. So we're part of a leadership cohort. We're kind of pulling all the things that they've done. We have a list. We started with a list of over 500 strategies that the city of San Jose might take. We've pared them down to 120 already. Still way too much of a spaghetti bowl to share, but we'll get there. So what is the plan again? I think we kind of know this at this point, right? We're defining the goals, really clarifying what the visions from our guiding documents say, kind of really defining what those are going to look like. We're looking at those actions, right? Looking at those strategies, the things the city can do. And that's what we're pulling from these other plans right now, listening to the public. Talk about that in a second, a little more. And we're identifying ways to measure progress over time. And I think this is one of the things. I was actually just being interviewed by UC Davis professors this morning about kind of our approach to this. We're being seen as a real leader in terms of doing both better scenario planning. So we're, most projects kind of go through 2, 5, maybe 6 scenarios at most. We're trying to figure out how to run a quantitative system so that we can, in effect, get kind of the most, the vision is to get all potential combinations of scenarios in front of us so that we can kind of understand, well, we know all of these bike projects, all of these different pedestrian projects, all these transit projects, what basket of them is actually the best one for us to kind of push forward. And then to be able to keep doing that process over time so that we can kind of dynamically adjust what our planning looks like based on how things change and the new information we get from the system. So again, what kinds of strategies are we looking at? Here's just a little flavor of some of the stuff we're thinking about. I'll leave you to any questions you may have on these at the end. All right, so what's our timeline here? We're here just in winter 2021, starting to identify a way or ending the identifying ways to measure goals. Talk about those goals in just a second. We're just entering into identifying strategies. Talked a little bit about how we're starting that work already. So I want to do a quick outreach update. We just finished around our first round of workshops. We were very happy with the turnout. We had over 100 participants. And these are, 2-hour-long online workshops in the evening. 3 in the evening, one in the morning. We did 2 in English, one with ASL support, and then 1 in Vietnamese and 1 in Spanish. We were very happy to see robust participation in both the Vietnamese and Spanish communities. Really got, I think, 45 and 40, if I remember right, participants, which is a pretty big number for these kinds of workshops. So we're really happy about that. We're still kind of pulling together the lessons and insights we got from those. But from what I've seen so far is a lot of support for transit, a lot of support for biking, a lot of questions as to why the car system feels so unsafe and why people are just having to use only that system. Especially from, I understand a little Spanish. I could really pull it from there. In the English one, the Vietnamese one, I'm gleaning from the notes I've seen so far. We've also had a survey out. That survey just closed at the end of November. Last I heard, we had just over 660 responses. Hopefully we got 700. That's pretty good. And then we have our social media channels out there, as well as our website, so movesanjose.org. And movesanjose.org is also our general transportation planning channel. So if anybody's looking for information on any of the transportation planning projects we have, please check out that website. All right, so here are the ways that we have kind of taken what we did in phase 1 of this plan and worked with the public, worked with our community-based organizations, to kind of clarify what we see as the Access and Mobility Plan's goals. All right, we got our vision from our guiding documents and some of the direction from there, but we really needed to translate these down. I'm not going to talk through them all. I'll leave them up here for a second. We sent the packet early because there's so much here. Hoping you guys have had a chance to look at them. if you have any questions. These are the goals and their quick descriptions. And then here are the key performance indicators or KPIs that we're using to measure them. We're doing a lot of work right now making sure that we actually have data to support these as metrics, and making sure that the metrics kind of are isolated, right? That we're really looking at less driving, we're really looking at access for all, and reducing the amount of KPIs to the point where we can get the best read for the least amount of kind of data and processing work. And yeah, and that's really it. That's where we're at. We're finalizing these. I actually just got the all but final memo from our consultants last Friday on these KPIs. Of course, further input from you can always change that. And we are really excited to just really dive into figuring out now. All right, we've got these KPIs, these goals. We're quantizing them, kind of figuring out how to measure them really. And we're starting to pull in all these strategies, and we're building out the modeling system that will help us look at all of these strategies, how they affect different parts of the city, and how they'll help us move the needles around on these different KPIs, so that as we come out of this planning process, we'll be able to say, here are the directions the city can take to best meet the KPIs in ways that are equitable and most effective. So next time we come back to you, we'll be talking about a deeper dive into what we've learned from the public, and starting to really get into that, the large universe of strategies that we're looking at, and see if you guys have any ideas or preferences in that regard. And with that, yeah, back to the next steps here. Just told you about that. And with that, thank you. Take your questions.
Thank you, Ramses. We'll go to the public first. We have one public speaker with their hand raised. Mr. Beekman.
Hi, thank you. This sounds like some interesting work. This sounds like you're working with the East Side a lot. And I know community groups like Luna, they've been, trying to, look into how there can be more bicycle riding on the East Side. And, there's some interesting ideas that they're able to organize that. I know with the VTA, they've been organizing their bicycle trails to a certain degree with ideas of equity, but it's lacking something. And it sounds like what you're working on here can really better connect what the VTA has started in these ideas of equity and the future of bike trails and bike paths and bike connections. I think you can much better enhance their work. So it'll be very interesting how this sort of projects develop. Thank you for it. It's quite a price to have to pay, to get better bicycle ridership at this time. It's sad, but at least it's happening, and hopefully something good can grow out of it. And so thank you for these efforts, and thank you for this item.
Thank you. Do any of my colleagues have questions or comments? Councilmember Perales.
Thank you. Sorry, I didn't put up my hand right away. Just in regards to the outreach, clearly this year's been difficult, and we're very this meeting, right, and all of our digital outreach, and I just want to sort of keep in mind and ensure that staff is keeping in mind how we might be able to communicate, whether it's neighborhood associations, flyers through council offices, whatever it may be, any other means possible besides just the online tools or any digital tools, especially for communities that this may impact and that will want to be involved and are not going to necessarily be able to join us in anything online. That's it. So thank you. And I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. And just to follow on with what Councilmember Perales said, I had a question about outreach as well. I just listed, I named off in my head 3 commissions that I think would be benefit from outreach about the access and mobility plan. Have you had any interaction with the youth commission, the neighborhoods commission, or the senior commission?
No, we haven't actually. Those are great ideas. No, we haven't. Thank you for those suggestions.
You're welcome. I just think outreach, then you've got already civically engaged folks who also have their own networks. So that might be a way to help get the word out as well. And then the other question I had, since I don't see any of my other colleagues raising their hands, was about if you could go back to the KPI slide, Ramses. I didn't see anything in there specifically calling out the differently abled community. So I do always think of seniors and other people who may not be able to walk that half a mile or quarter of a mile to the bus stop. I think it's 2 slides back. Yep. So it's jobs within or where was it? Yeah, services available within 15 to 20 minutes of bike and walk, percentage of short trips. I think that's great. The Access for All had only a KPI about share of income, redundancy of options. Those are nice. I didn't see anything anywhere, even in I guess it could also be in the plan for the future on the bottom about by user needs, but nothing was in there about someone who might have a personal mobility challenge, like needing a wheelchair or a walker.
Yeah, that's great. I really like what you're pointing out there, and I will kind of answering what you're saying as well as Blair Beekman's comment. Our community-based organizations we're working with are actually Luna, Vivo, the Silicon Valley Assisted Living Center, to answer, kind of talk a little bit about where we're going with that, Chairwoman, as well as PACT, which is a citywide religious organization. And so we are working with the Silicon Valley Assisted Living Center specifically. We brought them in as one of the CBOs for exactly that perspective that you're bringing up. Each one of our outreach events is always sponsored by one of our CBOs. And our second one, where we did have American Sign Language support, was sponsored by the Living Center. And so we're trying to incorporate that perspective, or we are incorporating that perspective as deeply as we can. But I do like your point of kind of, doesn't seem like the Access for All one is kind of hitting that population kind of directly, right? We've been seeing it as kind of cutting across everything, right? Is making sure that folks have access through the different things. But I definitely see your point there, and we'll be kind of thinking about how and if we can incorporate that.
Thank you. I just appreciate at least one KPI, because I know we have those performance indicators for a reason. And when what we measure, right, gets attention. And so I think we need something there for people who have, again, personal mobility challenges.
Great. Absolutely.
Thank you for that. All right, I think we're ready for a vote on this item. If we could get the roll.
Esparza?
Yes.
Yep.
Aye.
Perales?
Aye.
Davis?
Aye, thank you.
Thank you.
And we can move on to item D5. It is the Open Space Authority update on North Coyote Valley.
Thank you. This is Matt Kano, Director of Public Works. And as the committee is aware, 2 years ago, the voters of San Jose passed Measure T, which provided the city an awesome opportunity to partner with the Open Space Authority and others for a major land transaction in Coyote Valley. And without further ado, I'll turn it over to Andrea McKenzie, Executive Director with the Open Space Authority. Her and her team are going to be providing an update about what's going on now in Coyote Valley and what they're planning moving forward. So thanks, Andrea.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Councilmember Davis, and thank you to the Transportation and Environment Committee. We're very pleased to be here today. Assistant General Manager Matt Freeman and Coyote Valley Project Manager Nick Perry will be doing the presentation. So I'm going to turn it over to Matt.
you, Andrea. Thank you, Matt. Good afternoon, council members. We do appreciate the opportunity to provide an update on the North Coyote Valley Conservation Area Master Planning process. All right, can you all see the PowerPoint deck?
Yes.
Great. We'll also provide an update that's taken place in the past year since our landmark agreement with the City and Peninsula Open Space Trust to purchase 953 acres in the North Coyote Valley. And as Andrea mentioned, I'll be joined by Nick Perry, our project manager for the Coyote Valley effort. We also have several other key team members from the authority and post joining us today. We'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. All right, next slide, please, Nick. So Coyote Valley's unique setting and really incredible conservation values make it just especially valuable as protected open space to benefit the city and the region. The North Coyote Valley Conservation Area, shown in orange on this map, is located at the narrowest point between the Santa Cruz Mountains and the Diablo Range. It serves as an essential landscape linkage, providing wildlife connectivity to over 1.1 million acres of critical habitat in these ranges. And the undeveloped valley floor within Coyote Valley itself encompasses rare habitat and natural features like Laguna Seca, one of the largest freshwater wetlands in the South Bay, as well as the Fisher Creek floodplain, which captures stormwater and contributes to groundwater recharge. Next slide, please. So the master plan is taking place within the context of several related efforts to protect natural and working lands for climate resilience. Authored by Assemblymember Ash Kalra, AB 948 established the Coyote Valley Conservation Program, and it designates the entire Coyote Valley as a landscape of critical statewide significance to help catalyze conservation action. The governor's recent executive order to protect 30% of the state's natural and working lands by 2030 is one of the state's signature climate protection strategies, and it highlights the importance of our local conservation work. And then locally, the Open Space Authority was really happy to support city staff and the 2040 General Plan 4-year review task force in recommending the redesignation of Coyote Valley as open space and agriculture, which will align land uses with its important conservation values. In that effort, we also support staff and the task force recommendations to pilot a carbon and mitigation credit program to help incentivize infill development within the city and to hopefully create a funding source to pay for conservation actions in the Coyote Valley. The authority is also partnering with the city to develop the natural and working lands element as part of Climate Smart San Jose. And so this project will help us understand the role that land preservation and management in Coyote Valley can play as part of the city's overall climate action plan. And then finally, Coyote Valley features very prominently in the Santa Clara Valley Agricultural Plan. So to implement that work, we continue to work with willing landowners to preserve key properties, and we'll work very closely with the county during their general plan update and zoning ordinance updates to ensure that land use protections for agriculture and open space remain very strong. Next slide. So our vision, through a science-based and community-informed planning process, we aim to establish a new vision and long-range plan for the North Coyote Valley Conservation Area to basically protect and restore the natural environment and create a truly unique open space preserve in the nation's 10th largest city. So the plan will focus on ecological and floodplain restoration to protect habitats, promote groundwater quality and recharge, to provide flood protection benefits through green infrastructure projects. And this work will be very closely integrated with other plan elements, including agriculture, nature-based recreation and environmental interpretation, thoughtful design in partnership with indigenous communities. And the planning process will also look at sectors like transportation and economics. How do we get people to this landscape safely on public transit? How do we engage high-speed rail, Caltrans, VTA, DOT, and planning for the wildlife crossings we've been discussing? How can we support a new economic vision in the larger Coyote Valley based on nature, recreation, and agriculture? What opportunities are there for sustainable revenue generation to implement the plan? So to answer these questions, to lead creation of the plan and the vision, in September, we welcome Nick Perry to our team as the authority's dedicated Coyote Valley project manager. Nick brings a tremendous wealth of expertise to the project, and I'm happy to turn the presentation over to him at this time.
Thanks so much, Matt. Good afternoon, council members. Again, Nick Perry, Santa Clara Valley Open Space Authority's Coyote Valley project manager. 3 months into this role, and very happy to be presenting to you all today. So one of the first things that I'm working on as in my new role as the Master Plans project manager is creating a team and building strong partnerships with all the stakeholders that are invested and care about the future of Coyote Valley. The core project team currently consists of the agencies that own or manage conserved lands in Coyote Valley, the Open Space Authority, the Peninsula Open Space Trust, and the City of San Jose. And a more recent addition to the core team is the Santa Clara Valley Habitat Agency, which we are working with to establish conservation easements in Coyote Valley and enroll conserved lands into their reserve system. Right now, the 4 agencies are working together on a project charter for the master plan. It's a non-legally binding agreement that will establish a shared vision, define roles and responsibilities as we build a strong foundation for ongoing interagency collaboration during the master planning process. So again, to kind of orient you, one of the first things that we're working on is honing the scope of the master plan and the areas of focus. To do this, we've started to define what we're calling tiers of influence. And the first tier, and I'll use this laser pointer to see if that works, is the North Coyote Valley Conservation Area. It's the heart of the planning process. It's where we have site control. It's the 953 acres that we'll designate a site plan for and balance the many goals we have for this unique portion of Coyote Valley. The second tier is Mid-Coyote Valley. The North Coyote Valley and Laguna Seca are intrinsically linked to the future of Mid-Coyote Valley, specifically the area west of Santa Teresa Boulevard along Fisher's Creek, home to a growing assemblage of conserved lands. The plan will contemplate long-term changes to Fisher Creek, which could improve how water flows downstream into North Coyote Valley and Laguna Seca in service towards the plan's habitat, flood restoration, and agricultural goals. And Post and OSA continue to work with willing landowners on conserving additional lands in Mid-Coyote Valley. The third tier is the regional focus area, and that's analysis and broader policy recommendations that need to take into account the larger context of the entire 17,200 acres of Coyote Valley as defined by AB 948, which Matt mentioned earlier. And so that's the area highlighted in this orange line, the entire valley, and looking at things like hydrological planning, transportation planning, economic development opportunities, and regional trails and recreation, and regional trails and recreation in that larger geography. So over the past year, we've been carefully scoping several elements and working with experts to take advantage of lessons learned and manage an effective process that will lead to good on-the-ground outcomes. Most recently, these are just some examples of roundtables and other avenues we've been exploring during this year of kind of ramping up. Most recently, as Matt mentioned, we've been working to identify opportunities and constraints for sustainable and equitable transportation improvements in Coyote Valley that support the Coyote Valley landscape linkage and San Jose's Measure T. And in terms of community engagement and communications, since day one, it has been the authority's intention to plan for and engage in a genuine and robust community engagement process. Our vision is to approach community engagement not just as checking the box or a priority list, but something that's really rooted in what we're calling, or what's commonly referred to as JEDIA, justice, equity, diversity, inclusion, and accessibility, which we know are also priorities and values held by the City of San Jose. Right now, we're really working on partnership planning, working to identify partners in the community that would want to work with us on the master plan we want to reach out to, and working with some that we've never reached out to in the past as the OSA, and building those relationships before the master planning process really gets underway. And we look forward to working with city staff to continue identifying new potential partnerships. Among the first partnerships we're working to build are ones with the local Native American tribes, Amamutsin and Moakama Ohlone, in recognition of their deep connections to this landscape. We recently also completed a community questionnaire. This was issued to celebrate and capitalize on the partnership acquisition in North Coyote Valley. The questionnaire has received 400 responses, and it's helping us better understand how people relate to Coyote Valley today, and we're currently in the process of synthesizing the results of that questionnaire. And some next steps in community engagement. An early phase will be to complete a community needs assessment to understand the types of values and experiences that are important to the community. We are working on a community engagement plan that allows the community to help us shape the master plan through a wide and diverse range of engagement opportunities. We're also developing a communications plan to ensure that updates on the master plan are clearly communicated to the community via newsletters, web, social media, and other platforms. And we really welcome and appreciate any advice or insights on how to engage your constituents as the master planning process gets underway. So some next steps that are happening over the coming months, we will be finalizing the interagency project charter, which I mentioned. We're going to continue to collect and analyze baseline data. As Matt mentioned, it's a science-based process of getting data on things like groundwater, how the roads are functioning in terms of the wildlife linkages. We are working to prepare and release an RFP to hire a consultant team to complement our interagency team and lead development of the master plan's design and technical elements. And we're continuing to pursue grants and other funding sources for the master planning process. We're also refining the overall timeline. At this point, we're estimating a roughly 5-year timeline for master planning and environmental review, leading towards phase 1 implementation of master plan concepts. So while all that planning work is taking place, we're not just sitting on our hands, we're doing stuff out in the land too. We're continuing to steward and manage the conserved lands in Coyote Valley. We're doing conservation, grazing, weed management, etc. And when pandemic conditions allow, we hope to resume docent-led tours and programs of public access in the currently conserved lands. And while they don't allow, we're continuing interpretation and education online, and we look forward to doing that in person, when, as I said, when conditions allow. So that concludes our formal presentation, and we are available to answer any questions you have. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. We have one member of the public with their hand raised, 2 members of the public with their hand raised. We'll go first to a person whose number ends in 5140. Sir, when you are ready, you need to unmute yourself. There you go.
Hey. Oh, hey, can you guys hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. I can't find where this is on the agenda. I have it open, but I can't find it.
We are on item 5, Open Space Authority update on North Coyote Valley.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm glad that we are not building anything there, and it's going to be open space. I hope that they would build something there because it would flood. So it was a good idea to keep it as an open space area, because this region, entire region, is a flood zone. Nobody knows that, but like the Guadalupe River, if you're just a couple of blocks away, you have to pay flood insurance. So it's silly to build things in a flood zone. So I'm glad that everybody has decided the right thing and to keep it as an open space. And I want everyone to read the history of how the Native Americans were able to control the flooding here. I don't think Sam read that book. But he sure could help people move their dresser out when the news cameras were there when there was flooding. So yeah, I think that having it as a flood zone is important, and that people should probably look to the history of the Native Americans of how they were able to control the flooding, because we haven't been able to for the last 100 years, doing a disastrous job. And we'll see if it happens again this year. Something tells me it will. But yeah, you guys keep up the good work, at least with that. It's one of the few things the city has done correctly. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. The next speaker is Blair Beekman.
Hi, thank you for this item. It's a really important item to San Jose. Good luck on how you develop this issue. My concerns where I come from on this issue are with technology and good open public policy practices. This area may be needing technology in the future. And to suggest, as always, good open public policy ideas are helpful and needed. The city of Davis, it was mentioned earlier a few times maybe today, at least once earlier today, they have developed a really good standard of how they're going to talk about the future of the technology with their community. So they're developing policy practices and ideas to clearly explain what they're doing and what to expect from the technology that will be happening. They've developed really good wildlife policy program, wildlife and trail public policies with technology that I hope you can look into for the issues that will be in the Coyote Valley area. And to conclude, as this is part of Measure T oversight, and it's I think it's tax ideas for the each year, that's part of the public oversight process. There was I thought I remembered there was promises that Measure T oversight would start to address issues of technology itself. And I was all excited how this can be a board, the Measure T Oversight Board can be a place that can eventually develop into a place of technology oversight for what I think issues will be in Coyote Valley, basically. So, but that's like a few years away, and I feel uncomfortable that's not really gelling and happening. I hope you can consider, there are a couple review boards already of technology policy in San Jose. I hope those can be considered at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Do any of my colleagues, would any of my colleagues like to speak on this item?
No, but I'll move approval.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. And we'll take roll.
Esparza,
Yes.
Dia,
Aye.
Morales,
Aye.
and Davis.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks. And we will move on to item 6, the Stevens Creek corridor update. I see there's no presentation for that.
That's correct.
All right, we do have one public speaker for that item. Mr. Beekman.
Thank you. It's going to take me a minute to find my speech here. You can hold on a second. Okay, got it. It should be fairly short. To ask again, will electric buses and its charging need to take some sort of budget precedence in the next several years before experimental A/B ideas? And to conclude, with future ideas of public transit throughways and transit hub needs along Route 85 that will affect Stevens Creek Boulevard, please consider the continued good work of local CASA housing advocacy and how new ideas of VLI, ELI, and mixed income housing can include a wide range of incomes that can help ease and safely address important new questions of housing and zoning along the future of Route 85 transit hubs and the questions of affordable housing along the entirety of Route 85 itself. It will be a lot for the future of the VTA Route 85 Advisory Board to balance housing, AV vehicles, and other public transit choices for the future of additional Route 85 lanes. I hope we're all up to the task of working on these issues together in the coming years. Thank you.
Thank you. And just to give a headline, while my colleagues are deciding if they have any questions, just the headline from the memo is that the Stevens Creek Corridor Joint Vision Study is not yet fully funded, but San Jose has identified its portion at $180,000, and the jurisdiction agreements are being worked on, and the expectation is that the work on I'm just going to read this last sentence here. The expectation is that the work on the joint vision study will begin no later than July of 2021. Councilmember Perales?
Yeah, actually, along those lines, I just wanted to see from staff, is that going to possibly delay some of the work that we have going in regards to the airport connector from Dearborn? Because I know that we clumped those together in that RFI, but obviously this is much more robust of work. So I'm just kind of curious on timing.
This is Jessica Zhang, Deputy Director for DOT. So in terms of moving forward, the airport connector and the Stevens Creek work are not tied through any process at this point. They'll continue to try to leverage each other in terms of looking at technology, et cetera, but they won't remain tied. So it should not have an effect, to answer your question.
Okay, perfect. That was it. I'll move to accept the verbal report. or no or memo, I guess.
Thank you. I will second that, and we will take the roll.
Esparza,
Yes.
Yep,
Aye.
Perales,
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Thank you.
And that motion carries. We now move on to open forum. There are 2 hands raised. We'll go first to the person whose phone number ends in 5140.
Yeah, it's open forum, and just like to tell everybody, the city council, we talk about infrastructure. That's what you need to focus on. It's not focusing on parades and marches and public artwork, from Marxist organizations like BLM and Antifa. It's about fixing the roads. You ever drive around here, fix the roads, and see how bad they are? They're terrible. I mean, I guess you guys might like it because your third world dream is coming true. I don't know, but you guys seem to like it. Third world, a lot of homeless, bad roads, bad signs, trash everywhere. I mean, this looks. I mean, it's becoming like El Salvador. Okay, nothing against El Salvador. I feel bad for those people, but it really is terrible how awful you guys are in the infrastructure and how you are always out of money and you always blame the general, not enough money in the general fund, not enough money in the general fund. Well, I mean, if you're going to give all these citations out to people, the traffic court's not even open, but you guys don't even know that. But really, the mayor of this town, Sam Liccardo, what a hypocrite. Real great on Thanksgiving. I hope everyone got COVID at his Thanksgiving. I'm not kidding. He deserves it. He doesn't deserve, this city deserves nothing from the residents because we've already paid it. We pay a lot in our taxes. I just looked at all the utility bills that comes into this house. It's all taxes to you guys doing what I don't know. Tons of taxes on the telephone, everything we use. And then when something's wrong, you guys, well, you got to call the power company. You got to call your utility company. No, you guys are participating in this, and you know it. And you guys should all look at each other. And I'm sure you snicker and you laugh. Hee, hee, hee. That's what you Democrats do. You're terrible. You're a terrible, terrible city council. And Mayor Sam Liccardo is the worst mayor we've ever had in the history of this town.
Next speaker is Blair Beekman.
Hi, hopefully I can get through this. On a personal note, I have much concern in Michelle Flournoy as a possible candidate as U.S. Defense Secretary. Her life's work is often connected to an over-reliance on war. Instead of human rights, civil protections, and open dialogue is the ideas of peace, better reasoning, and the more decent concepts of American exceptionalism. We are simply at a time to look forward and return to the good path towards this country's future. A reminder in this time of a lame duck presidency, the current president, Donald Trump, just fired a very decent-minded defense secretary and fired others from important cabinet positions. From this, I think it really needs to be noted at this time that fairly large catastrophic events locally, nationally, and internationally of the past 20 years often take place within the early transition and change of a presidential administration. Open communication between local government bureaucracy and local community at this time is important. With all the factors in the decision-making city governments like San Jose has to go through, and to note last Friday's study session on this future of community energy choices, I am learning the concepts of natural disasters and catastrophic events may always be an important part in the city government decision-making. The mayor has seemed to try to address this and how to plan with ideas of hydrogen fuel cells for the next few years. East Bay Community Energy is specifically not using hydrogen cell technology, and what I think is to see how the San Jose program can develop. But overall, I feel the initial thinking of Perales, Carrasco, and Councilperson Foley at the Friday meeting was simply how to plan for our next 10 years, no matter what future natural disaster, catastrophic event may or may not take place. So with this in mind, the ideas of how to build upon ideas of solar power and how to work on the efforts to build upon its storage capacity in the next few years should be considered incredibly decent and important. And I think what Perales, Carrasco, and Foley were working on, and should always work in strong parallel with any possible upcoming catastrophic events that will tend to want to put off new ideas for more familiar, traditional, cumbersome fossil fuel ideas and likewise practices? Could current plans of 10-hour solar storage capacity by 2025 work to 24-hour examples instead? To conclude, I hope Mayor Liccardo will learn how to make an important point to include solar power storage ideas each time he talks about his hydrogen fuel cell plans and concepts in the next few years. Thank you for your time and patience.
The next speaker is Robert Aguirre.
Yeah, I listened to quite a bit of this meeting today. It didn't comment on anything, but I would just like to say that the voice of the unhoused is sadly missing from a lot of these things, especially when we're dealing with transportation and water, because those people are the ones that are living along the creeks and along the river, Guadalupe River, living all kinds of places where they shouldn't be living, but it's because they have nowhere else to go. And I would like to say that, again, I believe that we need to have a committee, a commission, or some sort of voice that includes the unhoused to be able to bring forth to the council and these other committees how these different things are affecting them. Because whether or not you own a home, a house, or live in an apartment, or wherever you live, you still have a voice in this government, and you should have a voice. And I believe that a lot of decisions are being made for these folks without giving them the opportunity to express their own opinions and let the council know exactly how this affects them. I try to do the best I can, and I know that everybody on the council knows who I am, and they know what I'm talking about. But again, I'm pleading that somebody have the courage to step forth and write a memo and suggest that we do set up such a committee or commission so that we can include this voice, this very important voice. It's a growing number of people and many people that we never see that are included in this list and that are greatly affected by what goes on and the decisions that are being made by our council and without the opportunity to express themselves. So again, I'm just going to drive that home, and please, somebody there on council, please have the courage to do this because it's very, very sadly needed. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, our meeting is adjourned. See you all in the new year.